episode 59 of the Unscripted Company podcast, one of the fastest growing podcasts on the internet. Fact check me, can't prove me wrong on that one. Also, one of the fastest growing Texas meteorological report update podcast, because I feel like the last 3 weeks, this week including, there's been some crazy weather going on in Texas that I can't just ignore and not bring it up. Have you been tracking what's going on? First of all, let me pause and say, hey Riley, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing swell. Can't complain. Heck, we're 59 episodes into this adventure. We're about to have episode 60 next week, and live stream. I know we haven't really talked about it too much, but we got a live stream on the horizon.
Yeah.
I don't know what we'll talk about, but
I haven't really thought about it, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah, maybe something. I don't know. I like to lean into the conspiratorial, dark, ancient history. Who knows? We'll come up with something. But let me ask you: have you been keeping up with like this weather out in? Well, first it started in the Panhandle. Mm-hmm. I know y'all had some crazy weather last week. Was it last week? Week before last, you had the tornado,
and then the week
Irving. After. Yeah, and there's some more wind. I know out in the hill country around Fredericksburg, they have a massive fire that thankfully is starting to be contained, but it's like thousands of acres are starting to burn. What else has been going on? I feel like there's been a lot. But have you been keeping up with what's going on? Like, Did you see the Panhandle the other day?
Yeah, so we got essentially all the dust storm. Like, we had that rolled through North Texas. There were accidents, like people like, I'll just say this for example, like that was the wind that blew that semi truck over, and there's another one. And so, yeah, there's just, it was insane. I got out a little bit towards the end of the day and it wasn't as bad, but dude, that whole entire day, man, people were taking pictures and they were like, someone actually took a video. I saved it, but I think I unsaved it, but it showed the progress of like Fort Worth. And as the stuff started coming in, and it showed the entire progression, like everything turned from just normal clear skies to just like red, like blood red. And so, yeah, that hit. We didn't have any fires here, though. Like, I mean, I guess, DFW, big city, not a lot of grassy areas and stuff. But yeah, didn't have any fires here. We just had a lot of the wind and stuff. So, yeah.
Oh, I think one of us froze, but it should be fine. Are we back?
We're back.
Awesome.
I saw you freeze. I didn't freeze.
Oh, no worries. You froze on my end, but we'll get it figured out.
We're good.
It's all good.
Either way. But yeah, we just had just like the dust storms. There were a couple other tornadoes that hit in a couple other states. There was one that hit Arkansas. There's one that hit, I think it was like north of Arkansas. I don't know. There were a few.
I saw in I think it was Kansas City. Have you ever heard of what a haboob is? Are you aware of this? I love telling people this for the first time. I told Abby this a couple days ago, but a haboob. So dust storm, right? You can picture a dust windstorm. Mm-hmm. Now add water to that, like rain. So then it becomes mud. It's like a mud windstorm, basically. Yeah, because all those heavy winds that came in from the Panhandle, a lot of that also kind of went up to like Kansas City, kind of the Midwest area as well, which I know you mentioned some of the tornadoes there. That was kind of like the precursor to that. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of crazy. I saw, the Big 12 college basketball. They had their conference tournament hosted, I think it was in Kansas City, and I saw they had an abysmal turnout. I didn't think to bring up a photo, but because no one really showed up because there was like all this crazy weather going on. And it just feels like the last 2-3 weeks now, there's been, I don't want to say catastrophic weather, but some crazy stuff going on, to say the least.
There was a map that I saw. It talked about like it was like a map of upcoming weather in the country. We'll see if I can pull that up while you're still.
Yeah, man. While you pull that up, back in the day, before you had TV meteorologists, I mean, you had that Farmer's Almanac book. They would publish one book per year, and they would tell you what the weather was going to be theoretically, like months in advance, and you just had to take them at their word and hope for the best.
Right.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
I think I posted this on my X account while you're still looking that up real quick, but I made a comment about, I feel like throughout college and like high school, basically ever since I had like a smartphone, which I guess would be more college forward, I got in the habit of always checking the forecast like every morning.
Yeah.
I feel like over the last 2 years, maybe I noticed I got out of the habit of doing that. And it's just because no matter what that weather app says, something crazy is just going to happen regardless, especially in Texas. Like it says it's not going to rain, then it rains. It says it's going to rain, then it doesn't rain. We had hail the other night, so it's like, who knows?
Yeah, I kind of know what's just happening right now. So like I can't find the exact map that I was looking for, but essentially it had like detailed like what type of weather was going to be happening. Like we had like the fires, and this state had like, thunderstorms. This state had, essentially they had this big old like system that was supposed to be coming back. So apparently we have another system of dust storms coming to us again on Tuesday.
Lovely.
That's going to be fun. Tuesday afternoon going into like Wednesday morning or something. I don't know. But
You know what that means? Next week, we're also going to start the episode talking about weather. It's going to be great.
Probably. And then there was a couple, like there was like the huge thunderstorm system that was coming through it started in Central Texas, making its way west. And it's supposed to have like it had like a whole bunch of like tornadoes possible happening throughout that storm system.
Oh, fun.
And so I'm like, cool. So like we're getting dust storms down here. They're getting tornadoes over there. This place is getting an ice storm still up here. Like, okay, like what's going on? So, and it's legitimately like catastrophic weather. And I'm like, and I know we joke about the end times and everything and how like it says that God's going to take, first time was by water, second time was by fire.
Third time's by tornado?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, but yeah, so that's kind of what's happening right now in our country. We're kind of just getting overtaken by a bunch of catastrophic weather. But hey, stay tuned because you may just get a $700 check in the mail by the government. So,
man, I feel like I haven't heard anything about that recently. I know we talked about it maybe about 3 weeks back and how it was going to be a thing. I guess, are you talking about maybe like a FEMA check? I was thinking about the Doge check.
I mean, we haven't heard anything. Well, apparently they're trying to get Elon removed from his current seat or whatever. Like Trump apparently limited his like decision making
level of access.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like he kind of like put a cap on it. He's like, all right, buddy, like you got to calm down a little bit. So like or that could have just been a way just to get people to shut up, and he's still kind of just working behind the scenes, just doing his thing. But apparently they had some more cutbacks on some stuff, and but yeah, I haven't heard anything about it either. That's kind of like one of those things. Like, I mean, it may take a while, but even then, I don't foresee it happening. Like, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Have you taken a moment to think about the narrative of Elon Musk? Just how, like, if we rewind just 5 years ago, if that, the left, stereotypically, I'll use the label the left, praised him for his efforts. Like, think about it. The electric car. That's awesome. That's cool. Tesla, despite what you think of them today, at the time, like, renewable energy, quote unquote, people loved him for that. SpaceX. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to Mars. That's a cool thing. People loved him for that. You had the Boring Company. Not a lot of people talk about that one, but digging tunnels, making transportation more feasible in certain cities. That's a cool thing. And now you have these robots, the Optimus robots. Like, that's a cool thing. But now it's, I mean, have you seen the videos online of people keying like Teslas and Cybertrucks? And yeah, it's just, I know there's that quote about, was it from a Batman movie? Or was it Iron Man? Where it says, you're a hero until you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
That's Batman.
Is that Batman? Okay. Yeah. I remember I botched a superhero reference about 2 weeks ago.
Maybe.
Calling
no, I mean, the thing is, I mean, I don't want to stick too long on this topic because we've talked about it so much, but I mean, it's still kind of one of those things where, and I posed this question a number of times, but it's like, do you think our country did make the right decision in electing the right people to run our country? Because now it's like people are like, and granted, a lot of people that are upset about it are the people that didn't want him elected in the first place. Like, that is majority of the people. I'll be honest, I haven't heard much about the opinion of people that did elect him. I haven't really heard a lot of people on social media about that. I mean, now that the election's done, a lot of people have kind of quieted down. But I will say, if you have noticed, though, there haven't been as many people posting a bunch of weird, like, standoffish videos, like bashing people, talking bad about people and stuff like that. Like, I've actually been kind of seeing a bunch of neutral, just people just kind of just living their lives. Like, at the end of the day, the world's going to go on. But I don't know. I don't know if he, like, I mean, if he's been quiet just because Trump asked him to calm down, or if he's been quiet because, he's still working behind the scenes. He just doesn't want to blast everything out until he's for sure about whatever it is that he's doing. But either way, I don't know. I don't have my $5,000 in my hand yet, so that's all I know.
I know. It would be kind of cool to get one of those checks. We'll see, though. We'll see. I saw you put in your notes. I was just kind of glancing at it. I don't want to jump to a topic maybe you're not ready for, but I saw big news this week. I wasn't going to send it to you because I was thinking I was going to surprise you with it, but then you saw it before I said anything. My beloved HEB is coming to Denton, Texas.
You know the funny thing?
Yeah.
It's not even in Denton.
I know, it's so far. It's like by Robson Ranch, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like on I-35 West. Like,
this is the
far south Denton. Like, it might technically be a Denton address, right? But it's like it's
right.
It's down there.
Right here.
I know. I saw that picture. Yeah, that one right there, and I was like, oh man.
So I live in this quadrant here.
Yeah, like the urban center of Denton, Texas.
You have Razor Ranch right here, where you have Sam's Club, you have Walmart, you have Winco, you have Albertsons. All four right there. But guess what? The funny thing? All the people who live here, and then even all the people who may live up in these upper parts, guess what they're going to do? Okay, we're going to drive down 380. Okay, we're going to pass all four of these grocery stores, and we're going to go all the way out here to buy groceries to then go all the way back home. Make it make sense. The thing is there's so much room still, like, in this area that they could have broken ground and they could have put an HEB there.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't even actually Denton anymore. Like, it's funny, though, because, like, hold on, let me see if I can find it.
Is it not technically a Denton address, and they're just saying it's Denton?
Denton.
Because would that be close to, like, Argyle?
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah. I think if you go to Google Maps, you don't have to do this, but I think if you type in, like, Denton city limits, I think Google Maps is smart enough to actually show you. No, maybe not.
It is not smart enough.
Just type in the word Denton. Humor me real quick. There you go.
Okay, yeah. So these are all the boundary.
So it's like right there, right?
Let me see where. Yeah, so ropes are.
It is literally that road. That road is the barrier.
Yeah. So it depends on which side it'll go on. Because if it goes like here, that's not Denton anymore. That's Argyle. Like, I'm sorry to say, but that's Argyle.
Yeah.
But if it'll probably go right here. Honestly, I could see it going right there because I did see them breaking ground out here one day.
And I could see them being like an anchor store for a lot of other things to pop up, like having a little shopping center set up there.
Well, I mean, with this being the retirement community.
Yeah.
So I could see that too.
Old people got to shop, man. Got to get their groceries.
But yeah. So that kind of, for me, I'm just like, here's the thing. I was kind of excited at first. It's like, oh, okay, cool. We're going to get a HEB. But now I'm like, I'm not driving all the way out there for that.
It's not going to be worth it to make that drive. No.
Now, if I'm driving back through there, like, if I'm going to Fort Worth or North Lake or whatever, I'm like, oh, okay, like, I may stop in here. No, I'm not going to just take my Friday when I could just drive 5 minutes right down the road and I'm at Winco and I can just buy my groceries there. It'd be good. And
plus, when it first opens, it's going to be so busy.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not going to be.
Lines outside
you're going to be more
door.
frustrated.
Yeah, I ain't doing that.
Yeah, you can hope maybe this is their tiptoe into the market, and they say, okay, this store works because all the blue-haired elderly folk came out to shop, so maybe they can move a little more. Because I was so expecting, just like you said, for them to go up to Razor Ranch. I feel like that just made sense geographically.
Yeah, it made sense. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, though.
Yeah, I know we talk a lot about this podcast, but sometimes I'm just like, man, what if we just talked about Texas? I wonder sometimes. I'm like, there's a big enough market for that, right? but there's so much that happens in our world. So
yeah, it's kind of hard not
yeah,
to.
it is. I know it is. One thing I can get kicked off with, because one of my other topics was Texas, and I'll save this one for the end. Have you seen Gavin Newsom's new podcast?
I haven't watched it because I'm good, but I've seen him on his podcast. Yes.
It's very clever. For those of you who aren't aware, Gavin Newsom, current governor of the state of California, he launched a podcast a couple weeks back under the iHeart Media brand, and it's been very interesting. Is as much as I dislike Gavin Newsom and his politics, I can't fault him for the genius behind this podcast, because his first episode, I was honestly shocked by who his guest was on the first episode. It was your boy Charlie Kirk, which for a Democratic governor, especially the governor of California, to have Charlie Kirk on.
Oh, I think I did. I didn't watch the episode, but I think I
his
saw
his first guest.
Yeah. There was one particular thing that I saw them talking about, and people were a little upset at Gavin Newsom for it because it's like he's elected as the Democrat governor for California, but some of his viewpoints that he was talking about in that podcast were kind of going the other direction. And some people were just like, what? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, you're surprised that a politician said something to get elected and then they completely said something else?
That's what I think is kind of genius about it, actually, is like, you're spot on. Yeah, he said stuff in the past, and he's saying different stuff now. But I think what's kind of genius about this podcast is he's able to use it to unwind and backtrack on some of the things that he's been labeled as. Not saying he believes anything that he says, but he's able to use this as a platform to right the wrongs of the party's past. And what do I mean by that is we find ourselves, and this is probably preaching to the choir for most people listening, and including you, Riley, is like, we know politics has become so polarized. Mm-hmm. And so it's really easy, if you belong to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, that the assumption is you have your marching orders and you're supposed to believe certain things, you vote a certain way, etc. Now, the Republican Party is kind of unique because it has the whole MAGA movement, and then you have the rhinos, which came before MAGA, stuff like that. But the Democratic Party over the last couple of years, they've all they have the same marching orders, for better or worse. And it's kind of damaged the reputation of some of them, because I think if you look at Gavin Newsom, if you just look at his resume, regardless if you agree with his politics or not, he probably should have been the pick to run against Trump. Realistically, just because he's a relatively well-known name, governor of California. He's relatively young in comparison to, the status quo in Washington, but he was playing the game that whole party was playing. And so he kind of got caught up in a lot of this one-sided politics. And so he's kind of able to use this podcast to somehow have conversations with Charlie Kirk, Michael Savage, the Menendez brothers, and most recently, also a surprise, Steve Bannon, who is in ultimate Trump, right, Breitbart, all the buzzwords you think of when the color red pops up. That's right. Steve Bannon, basically.
Dude, I think it'd be pretty cool to actually have Charlie Kirk on our podcast.
Dude, I would feel intimidated from a conversational standpoint. The dude's a professional arguer, which is not a bad thing.
No. But I just want to hear, so he was at UNT one day during the election going on last year, and if I'd have known that, I would have went. But just to shake his hand, not have a debate with him. I agree with a lot of what he says. There's a couple things where I some of the things that I necessarily probably don't agree with him on are things that I may not necessarily understand, and I can at least admit that, hey, I don't understand everything you're exactly saying. Could you explain it to me, and we'll have a discussion about it? I'm okay knowing that fact, but I think having someone like him would be lit. That'd be cool. So if you ever see this Charlie Kirk, what's up.
Guilty pleasure is always finding his videos when I'm scrolling on TikTok or Twitter or something. it's hard not to watch, even though some of them are pretty cringe from one side of that conversation. But it's a guilty pleasure. The guy's good at what he does.
Right. He wrote a book, and I wanted to buy that book at some point. I think it's his first book that he wrote, but I'm like, I want to buy that book.
Yeah.
So I'll have to check it out one day.
Yeah. Well, what else you got this week? What else has been catching your brain, catching your eye?
Well, this will just be a quick one. But there was a lunar eclipse last week that I'm pretty sure majority of our country did not get to see because of the weather.
Was that the blood harvest moon something? Yeah.
There's going to be another one this year. It's like, it's not like, if you missed it, cool. But we went to bed at like 11 o'clock that night. And then I told Dana, I was like, just wake me up. Like, we'll go out there and we'll take a look at it. Like, see if we can see it, take some pictures. Cool. Awesome. We go out there, nothing but clouds. Couldn't see a dadgum thing. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me right now. And then I go out, and then I wake up the next morning to go to the gym, and then clear as day, you could just see the moon. Like, it was like all the way over there now, and so it wasn't up there. So I'm like, cool, awesome. So,
was it because of all the weather? Like it
was just the weather. I think it happened. Yeah, because the dust storm
hearing about it on the radio. I remember like all the radio personalities were like, "Hey, this is happening at like 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock, whatever it was," and I'm like, okay, whatever.
Well, I'm obviously very fascinated with that stuff. Like, I want to eventually be able to start utilizing my telescope. And
you've been I don't want to say obsessed, but you passionate about like astrology. I mean, heck, you have a tattoo. I don't know if you've ever Don't you have like a whole thing going on?
No,
here?
I want to get a whole galaxy.
You wanted it.
I want to get I want to get like the Milky Way galaxy up here.
Yeah,
and then
I thought you'd already had that for some reason.
No, I just have just the one on my forearm over here, and I'm kind of satisfied with that now, considering how expensive it was. So I'm good for right now.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, no, like, we just always been fascinated by it. Like, we went and seen, like, the couple times that the Northern Lights made its way down here, we went out and drove around and, kind of out in the middle of nowhere just to see them and everything, or to take pictures and stuff and then look at them, which we did see. Like, the second time we were able to find them. We saw Mars when Mars was like really freaking huge towards us. Like, this was like 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago. But my goal is to eventually get like a better high power telescope that I can hook up to my computer and just like do all the stuff on there. And then it just like turns and finds, and then like I can take pictures with everything.
Yeah.
But that's like a long ways off. Like, I'm still satisfied with the telescope I have now, but no, we've just always been fascinated by that stuff. And it's just like, just astronomy and everything. That was actually like my original like career, like growing up. And they're like, what's your dream career? And I'm like, I like to be an astronomer. That'd be cool. Like, study the stars and the planets and everything. That was a loss.
You could still do that if you wanted to.
Yeah, with like 10 years of schooling.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Like 10 years of schooling that I would never have. Now, like, I would probably like take the classes just to like learn about it. Like, I would love to take like Astronomy 101 and like kind of take some of those particular classes, not to get the degree, but to have the knowledge retained by it. Like, I would pay for those classes. Like, even if they're online, like, I'd pay for them.
I bet you there's probably a couple of universities out there that have those classes for free online. I saw, you might have seen this too, like Harvard, MIT.
Yeah.
I think there might have been a couple of other Ivies that they put a bunch of curriculum like online for free. And in my head, I'm just like, this is awesome. First of all, that's awesome that the information is available to the masses for free. But at the same time, it's like, what the heck are we paying for these college degrees for if all the information is free?
So like, how would you even find, like, I'm just curious right now. Cause cause I've been seeing people say like, yeah, you can just get on Harvard's website. You can just type in class. Like, I don't even know I don't remember what you'd even search, but it's like,
yeah, I think they host it on their own thing. Like, I mean, you could probably find some lectures on YouTube for sure. I can almost promise you there's some astronomy professors that upload certain lectures online. So you could like listen to them the same way you listen to a podcast. But I know like Harvard and MIT, remember those two for sure. I think it's just on their website. So maybe if you just Google MIT or Harvard free courses, I just got to pop up.
Yeah, I don't know, because I've seen those and I'm like, oh, like, okay, I'll just log in and just take like a few classes, gain some knowledge, maybe download some free PDFs and books, and just have them. But like I said, that's always just kind of been um, interesting to me as far as like, okay, yeah, right here, CS50, Introduction to Computer Science. It's a free class and it's an 11-week long class. So it's an introduction to the intellectual enterprises of computer science and the art of programming. So it's like you could take this stuff and then you could just literally like throw on your resume, hey, I've got like skill set of this right here, you
Yeah.
know? And so it's, dang, yeah.
It does make you wonder what the future of higher education looks like. Just knowing that more and more information is just free, right? I feel pretty confident saying everything I learned at university, which always sounds weird. I always sound British when I say that. Yeah, at university I learned this, like at college, whatever. You know. Have you ever thought about that? You know how like Europeans say they're like at university, but then Americans are like, oh, we're at college.
Well, over there though, I feel like it's a little bit higher esteemed when you're over, because like they have like, was it like Oxford and like all these like big name, like I'm not saying we don't have big name colleges here and universities here, because obviously you Harvard, MIT, like, you know, like you do have, but I feel like over there when you go to college, I feel like you're actually getting more you're getting more for what you pay for over there rather than here. I'm not saying that college here isn't good, but it's like when you're learning over there, you're what you get what you pay for, just like you do here. But over there, you're at least like you're going to utilize exactly what you learn. Here,
how much does it cost to go to college there? That's the question.
How
much does Oxford University cost compared to Harvard? Let's find out what ChatGPT is going to tell me here. Let's see here. Searching. Okay, University of Oxford. Tuition fees for international students, which that would be you and I in this case, for 2025-26, would range from 35,000 pounds to 59,000 pounds. If you go clinical medicine, those courses are going to be higher, of course. Then you have living costs, 10,000 to 15,000 pounds.
Okay,
Harvard University. Harvard's more expensive than Oxford, it looks like.
Is
actually.
It? Are you sure about that? Because 35,000 pounds to dollars is $45,000, $45,297, and that's just for once.
Well, okay, so I need to obviously check this, but it's using Harvard as its like source of info for this. It says for this year it would be minimum $56,550 to go to Harvard.
Okay,
for a year.
So I did the 35,000 pounds. So you said it was 56,000 pounds on the high end, right, for Oxford?
No. For Oxford, yeah. 59,000 on the high end.
That means it's $76,353 for just 1 year of Oxford University. And that's not including your room and stuff like that, like wherever you're living at.
Yeah.
So you're looking at probably around $100,000 a year just to go there. And I mean, I
bet you it's the same information. I don't think there's any additional information you learn going there compared to.
Well, like, I mean, you learn a little bit more about their aspect of what you learned. I mean, I'm not saying you don't have like your English and stuff like that, but I feel like their classes are a little bit more like involved with like hands-on stuff because, and I've said this before about college here and in the US, I feel like depending on what your degree is, doesn't mean that you should have to take every single basic known to man going for a 4-year degree. Like you should have to focus on like if you're going for an engineering degree, like a mechanical engineering degree, guess what? I shouldn't have to take a history class. I shouldn't have to take an English class. Just load me up with math and science classes for my basics. And that's what's going to take me for my prerequisites, because they have like, you already have to take so many math classes. Why do I have to take these other classes? Just let me take a bunch of math and science classes. And those are my prerequisites, because I'm not going to use everything else that I'm doing in mechanical engineering. You know, that's just my outlook on it, you know. And if you're going for a history degree, because I think you did that, you did history for yours, you shouldn't have to take a bunch of math classes. You shouldn't have to science, kind of maybe, because they kind of intertwine it in a sense, but it should be very minimal on the science classes that you would take.
Yeah.
But you should be on history. You should be taking history and English classes, because that's what you're going to need more. So like, that's just kind of my idea. But no, that 504, they have 544 results on here of classes. So you could literally Like they even actually, it's a week-long class. Prediction X: Lost Without Longitude. Explore the history of navigation from stars to satellites. Like,
yeah,
literally,
you're gonna have to take that and then come on here in a couple weeks and give us a lecture.
yeah, dude, yeah. 6-week plan for healthy eating, and it's a 2-week-long class. Oh, that one.
Okay.
Okay, some of them are actually paid. Some of them are paid.
Okay.
30 bucks, 30 bucks.
Oh, that's not that bad though.
30 bucks. This one's $995 plus dollars.
I do wonder though, do they give you, I guess, like a certificate of completion? I know they don't probably give you a degree because you didn't technically enroll and attend, but
right. Let's
like,
see here.
Is there actually like an award for doing that?
I don't know. Let's find out. Add a verified certificate for $99.
Oh, so it's a free course, but then you pay them $99 for the piece of paper.
That sounds like a college.
It really does. That is college behavior.
Yeah, some of them are free. Like, and then like again, the programming one, that one seems pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna do a deep dive on them one day and just kind of just see what they got.
Yeah.
So.
Totally unrelated. Have you seen this entertainer called Red Panda? They have this like unicycle act. Here, let me show you what I'm talking about. They've been doing a lot of basketball halftime shows. Let's watch this. So you got this lady on this very large unicycle, very tall, and she already has these bowls on her head, maybe like, I don't know, 10, 15 bowls, balancing them on her head, or holding them technically. And then she has these other bowls balancing on her feet in the air, and she's going to do magic with this. Tree. Is that not like impressive?
I don't understand how people do that.
Dude, I have no idea either. First of all, how do you get up on a unicycle that tall?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I just saw that going around social media this week with all of the March Madness itself really hasn't started by definition, but it's all the conference tournaments.
Right.
So, entertaining halftime shows. You got to give the people the bread and circuses.
Right.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to get hit on, and I wanted to put a little space here between the first half of this episode talking about Texas, because my other topic, I wanted to talk about this last week, and we really didn't have enough time to get to it, so I was going to bring it up this week. Have you been seeing all these headlines and movements, how Texas is kind of positioning itself as the future of AI and AI tech infrastructure?
But it's becoming the future of everything right now.
And it is.
And that's why I'm like, there's so many opportunities. Like, it's,
Yeah, no, you're spot on. So a couple of things have happened in very recent history that I think are noteworthy. The first one I want to hit on, the city of Abilene. Abilene, Texas, has been chosen as the first site for President Trump's historic $500 billion AI infrastructure project. So out of all places, Abilene, Texas, the gateway to West Texas. So it says Abilene has been selected as the first location for what President Trump is referring to as the largest AI infrastructure project by far in history. At President Trump's first press conference of his second term, he announced Project Stargate, a joint venture of 3 companies, SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle, which honestly, everyone, I think, in this country can at least recognize one, if not 2 of those company names. They're huge giants in this space. He went on to say, a new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United States, and moving very quickly, very rapidly, creating over 100,000 American jobs almost immediately. Now, with a population of nearly 130,000 people, Abilene was chosen as the first location for Project Stargate. Develop Abilene posted on Facebook saying that the historic milestone builds on the success of the 2021 Development Corporation of Abilene project. So it's kind of like, this is a big deal for a city like Abilene, let alone Texas as a state, because I think most people in Texas have probably at least heard of Abilene. For those of you outside of Texas, like Abilene historically kind of is a cattle town, very similar to Fort Worth. Like Fort Worth is now, yeah, it's a big city. There's a lot of other stuff going on there, but historically it was just on the cattle trails, and so that's what kind of made Abilene what it was. And
Right.
now, like it's going to be kind of the front line of the AI infrastructure of our country through this Project Stargate, which also kind of an interesting name to call it Stargate, because all I can think about is well, did you ever watch? Did you ever see the Stargate TV show back in the day? Or
I
are you
didn't.
aware
I
of it?
wasn't like heavily invested, but my dad though. My dad watched it every night. Stargate
Dude,
SG-1.
my dad too. Yeah,
And then he watched. He was a big Star Trek guy too. So it's like Star Trek was his thing. Star Wars was mine. I didn't really watch the old Star Treks, nor did I really watch the newer ones either. But my dad was a big Star Trek guy, and then Stargate SG-1 and all that kind of stuff. So
that is hilarious because that's my exact relationship with the show as well. I'm aware of it. I've seen a couple episodes on and off just by like off in the distance watching, but my dad was obsessed with the show growing up.
yep.
Well, in addition to Abilene, we go over to kind of southeast Texas. The city of Houston, the largest city in the state of Texas, has a new Apple facility on the way. Apple, the company I think everyone on the planet is relatively aware of, they make the iPhone. They have a new AI server factory to bring thousands of jobs to the city of Houston. It says Apple will spend more than $500 billion with a B in the United States over the next 4 years. CEO Tim Cook says 20,000 new jobs will be created across multiple states. Houston will be home to a new AI server factory and thousands of new jobs. So you have the federal government working with OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle in Abilene for Project Stargate. You have Apple in Houston working on this new massive AI server factory, whatever you want to call it. Well, let's go on over to San Antonio, where Microsoft is adding almost $1 billion of investment to Medina County, which is just outside of San Antonio. They're going to be building data centers. Before this headline came out, Microsoft has already invested over $700 million in the area. It says one of the biggest tech companies in the world is strengthening its brand in the San Antonio area. The Washington-based software brand is adding close to $1 billion in facilities west of the Alamo City, almost doubling its investments into the area from the past 3 years. Microsoft is adding 2 massive data centers in Medina County. Both are estimated to cost $350 million, according to 2 Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation filings. The one-story data centers are expected to span over 245,000 square feet. Construction is anticipated to begin on May 13th and is aiming to be finished by June 15th, 2027, according to the filings. So like these are not small diddly projects. Like this is something with an end date of 2027 with $1 billion on the line here, in addition to the 700 million Microsoft already pumped into the area. And I'm sure there's going to be more to come because I know there's stuff going on. Like Elon's doing stuff with Tesla down in Austin. I know there's like data centers out in West Texas that do Bitcoin mining and things like that.
Can we just
But
get
just
some of
these
that
3
up
headlines
here?
alone, dude. Yeah,
Let's get some of that up here. You know, so it's too far away.
yeah. But it's just crazy. It's just I've had this stance I think over the last like 2-3 years now. I've even debated like how do I share this information, because I don't want Unscripted Company just to become this like I'm going to talk about Texas from top to bottom, because there's just so much other stuff that could be talked about.
Right.
But it's like, man, there is stuff happening in Texas right now that you just can't ignore. And this is even in addition to the other stuff we talked about with the multiple stock exchanges opening in Dallas, Fort Worth. So it's like you have Houston and San Antonio kind of becoming these like AI data center megaplexes. You got DFW turning into, I don't know if you've heard this phrase yet. We might have talked about this on a prior episode. Instead of Wall Street, it's going to be Y'all Street.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dallas is going to be the new, financial hub for the country after New York. Austin's got Tesla, I guess, and some of the other like sub offices of these like Silicon Valley companies. And West Texas has oil. Like
and that's the
ahead.
thing is like we're literally everything that we thought wasn't going to be happening for like another 5 years is happening so quick now. And it's just, it honestly is mind blowing. It's just, it sucks though, because it's happening all down south and towards West Texas, which don't get me wrong, West Texas definitely needs they need some help over there. Like, let's get some stuff going. But, you know, there's plenty of room in other areas too of the country that we could definitely, especially for how the growth is happening now. It's like, I kind of don't know what their overall plans are for, but yeah, it's definitely, and it's all technology based, because that technology is, it's heading here. So
Something you made me think about. I didn't put this on like my topics to talk about. Did you see how McKinney is getting ready to have like a new national airport? Yeah, yeah.
what?
Google, those of you listening, Google that one. If you're in the North Texas area, you even know where McKinney's at. Yeah, they are like retrofitting their current regional airports. You know, like airports, you can be like a regional airport, something like Waco, where you can go to the airport there. They'll fly you to like Dallas, Houston, like a bigger airport, and then you'll actually go on your bigger flight. McKinney has one of those where I think they fly into like Love Field or something like that. But they're getting ready to make this McKinney airport like a national airport. Here, let me pull it up real quick. Yeah, let me see here. Oh, Dallas Morning News. Hang on a second. Let me get past this paywall right quick because I ain't having none of this. Who even pays for the Dallas Morning News? Let's be honest here for a second while I pull this up.
Not me.
Yeah, nobody really reads paid news these days. So here, we're going to look at this ugly screen together. Thanks to removepaywall.com. McKinney Airport could see commercial flights next year as terminal plan moves forward. After voters rejected bond funding for expansion, finding the money is McKinney National Airport's next hurdle. The public can weigh in on environmental impacts this week. It says McKinney's Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously approved a site plan for a new airport terminal on the east side of its runway. The $72 million terminal project could host passenger service as early as late next year, and the city is in discussions with 2 commercial airlines to operate in McKinney. Site plans are typically approved by city staff, but must get approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission if they include design exceptions. The terminal's plan requested 2 exceptions to reduce the amount of trees required at the site. Mitchell McNapp. I'm going to mispronounce this name. Do you see this name right here?
McAnally.
Dude, is it really McAnally? An aviation project manager at engineering firm Garver told the commission Tuesday the larger tree canopy near the runway would present a hazard by attracting wildlife. So what's wild is like the city of McKinney voted no against this, but city council's like, nah, hold my beer. We're moving ahead with this anyways. But like McKinney's going to have an international airport if all goes down the way they plan for it.
It doesn't really need one though. It needs like a Dallas Love, like not a DFW, but like a Love Field sized airport would be big enough for it. Like for like not your big commercial 747s, but like smaller. You know.
But like, is McKinney okay? I know DFW is massive. Like, don't get me wrong. The Metroplex is a whole. It could be its own state if it wanted to. But I don't think McKinney's far enough away from DFW or Love Field to warrant an international, or sorry, a national airport. Wouldn't it be like more feasible? Well, I don't know. I could be wrong with that.
So this is kind of where, for people who need like the scale.
Yeah.
So
it's right up 75, right?
So here's DFW. Like here's the international airport. McKinney is right here.
Yeah.
So you'd have to go all the way down. Your quickest way to get there would honestly be 75 onto 121. So you take 75 to Sam Rayburn, and then you could take Sam Rayburn all the way down to that, and then you're there. So
yeah.
That would be your quickest way to avoid.
But then like Love Field's right there too in like Northwest Dallas. So for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, DFW International, massive airport. Like it's famous because the airport land itself is like bigger than the island of Manhattan.
Right here.
massive airport. And then you have, so that's Alliance Airport. So that one's like a commercial one. That's what like FedEx and Amazon and all them fly into.
Okay.
Love Field, it's gonna be just east of DFW International.
Oh yeah, that's right here, right here.
Yeah. So that's like the OG Dallas Airport.
Yeah.
And then Fort Worth has another one too. I think is it Meacham Airport? They have like another one too. It's another, I think it's like a national airport maybe. They might have shut it down over the years, but
so let's see here.
it's just crazy to think that like the city of McKinney is attempting to have a national airport. But I would assume maybe flights might even cost more coming out of there.
No, let's just look at Fort Worth.
Type in Meacham, MEACHUM. Yeah, Fort Worth Meacham International Airport.
I didn't even know they had one.
Yeah. There was, dude, literally, the only reason I know Meacham exists is if you play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I think it's the second one. Did you ever play Tony Hawk growing up? Okay, yeah. I think it's the second one where the first map of the game is the hangar, like a airport hangar. And one of the games, I'm trying to remember, I think it was the PlayStation 2 version. I know someone's going to correct me in the comments by this, but they said it was at Fort Worth Meacham. Like that's where it actually took place. Now, if you play like the Xbox or the PC version, it said it was like a different place. But I remember there was like one version that said it was Meacham Airport. And I was like, oh. So I looked into it and I was like, oh, this is like in Fort Worth. This is wild.
Right.
But then like you have Denton Enterprise Airport.
Very small airport. Very, very small.
And I bet you Plano's got an airport too somewhere. I bet you there's an airport. Isn't there one? Like Aubrey's probably got an airport, I bet you.
Hold on. Yeah, so Air Park Dallas Airport. So that's in.
Yep.
It's very small. You said Aubrey?
I bet you. Or Pilot Point. Like they call it Pilot Point for a reason, right?
Smitherfield.
That's like a decrepit airbase, I guess.
Let's see here. Pilot Point Airport.
Yeah, these are like little tiny private airports, I suppose.
Yeah.
Wait, where's that?
Oh, wait.
Wait, is that Alaska? That is Alaska. Yep.
Not exactly where we needed to go. Let's go back here.
That is hilarious.
Let's just do this. Yeah. Yeah, so there's, hold on, let's just see here.
Yeah, that's a good map because that popped up a bunch of airports.
Texas airports. Wichita Falls has one.
Yeah.
There's 4 airports, like big airports right here.
Yeah.
Like I guess, putting one up here, like a bigger one would help because you have to think there's a lot of growth that's happening this way.
Yeah, I mean, there's 8.5 million people in Dallas-Fort Worth as of 2024. So, I mean, yeah, there are a lot of people. Don't get me wrong. It's just crazy to think like McKinney Airport.
Yeah.
Like the next time you go out of state, you and Dana, you go to Florida. Who knows? Who knows? Whatever. But like flying out of McKinney, Texas. That's just interesting to
probably be less busy than DFW.
That is true.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what airlines fly out of there. I would assume maybe Southwest, just because they're based in Dallas. But
that's another reason too why I probably would never take them. Like I'm a big American Airlines. Like I will not take anything else because of just how decrepit their policies are and what they do. I don't care how cheap the flight is, but
wasn't American Airlines the one that blew up in the sky when they hit the helicopter? You know what I'm talking about?
I thought that was Delta.
Maybe it was. I forget.
I think it was Delta.
Yeah, I usually like Delta, but it's expensive. I only go when work pays for it. I saw Southwest is getting rid of their free bag policy too, so you're gonna start paying for bags.
That's another reason.
And they're changing the their seating policy to where you're gonna start having assigned seating, which I think is probably a better thing long term. But yeah.
Well, I guess to kind of continue talking about the AI stuff for a quick second, ChatGPT has just released their 4.5 model for people to check out and look into. So I literally just saw this when I got on ChatGPT earlier today. It's a research preview of their strongest GPT model available to pro users and developers worldwide. So only if you have the paid version can you actually utilize this.
Have you used their deep research feature that comes with this?
No,
It is crazy. So you know how normally you ask ChatGPT a question or you tell it to do something. Sometimes you'll see it where it searches the internet and it brings you back results. So deep research, picture it like a PhD candidate writing a paper. You have to you have multiple thoughts and you want to fact check each thought, and then you have to search and think through, well, how does this thought flow together? Like you can tell it something and it'll take 4 minutes to get you a response, but it's going to be extremely thorough and supposedly fact checked out the wazoo.
I've been seeing it take a little bit longer to generate responses. I don't know if it's because I've already got that setting turned on, but essentially they've kind of scaled it, the pre-training and post-training by scaling unsupervised learning. GPT 4.5 improves its ability to recognize patterns, draw connections, and generate creative insights without reasoning. Early testing shows that interacting with 4.5 feels more natural. Its broader knowledge base, improved ability to follow user intent, and greater EQ to make it useful for tasks like improving writing, programming, and solving practical problems. We also expect it to hallucinate less.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. And so unsupervised learning increases world model accuracy and intuition. Models like 3.5, 4.5 advances paradigm. It's an example of scaling unsupervised learning by scaling up compute and data along with architecture and optimization innovations. It was trained on Microsoft Azure AI supercomputers. The result is a model that has broader knowledge and a deeper understanding of the world. Just an example here. What was the first language? We don't exactly know what the first language was, and scientists have believed we'll probably never know for sure because spoken languages appeared long before written records existed. Here's what we know. No single first language. Languages likely developed gradually in different groups of humans around the same time, tens or even hundreds of thousands of years ago. Origin in Africa. Most scientists agree that spoken language probably first emerged among humans in Africa, perhaps over 100,000 years ago. And then it continues on and on about what that went into with that. And then the simple QA accuracy, higher is better. Well, this one has the highest amount at 62.5%. And then simple QA hallucination rate, lower is better. And this has the lowest rate at 37.1%. It kind of just really, the more you give it, the better it works out for you, essentially. But they're kind of making it a little bit easier to utilize now. And so, yeah, I don't know. I haven't played with it a whole lot since the update. Like I said, I just found out about the update today. But it's definitely got some of the higher percentages for some stuff and things that are going on. Dude, I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind actually working for chat like OpenAI. That'd be pretty cool.
Dude, I don't even think I'm even remotely smart enough to be honest with you.
You don't have to be. They're not either because the AI does it for them.
Oh my goodness.
It probably does. I'm just saying. Like, I mean, anything you use AI for, the AI is probably doing the majority of it. But you do have to know what you're programming into it. So who knows?
Yeah, I can do a little bit of Python, but outside of that, I mean C++, that's easy. I don't really count SQL. Well, SQL's a language, but Python, it's funny enough, I do use a little Python in my job occasionally, but I use ChatGPT to help me. So funny enough.
Funny enough is that Harvard actually offers an introduction to artificial intelligence with Python.
What's wild is like, that's probably going to be, that information is going to be so irrelevant in 3-5 years.
Yeah.
You know? Because stuff's just developing so fast. I forget there's that law about how technology gets exponentially better.
Yeah.
At a faster rate. It's like something law. I forget what it is, but we're definitely experiencing that in AI. We're in this like AI race. I wonder if we're going to look back at this moment in time. We might not be able to see it in our lifetime potentially, but like in the next generation's lifetime, I wonder if this moment now is going to be viewed the same way how we had the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, and then you have like the automated revolution or whatever that ends up being called. Just between what we see with like what OpenAI is doing, what XAI is doing, what Elon's got going on there, and then with like the applications that you can apply it to. Like I know we talked about the humanoid robots and how when you put this type of logic and reasoning inside of a humanoid robot, imagine just all the other day-to-day applications you can put this into that aren't, you don't have to use your cell phone or something like this. It's just like, it's just built into everything and it all interacts and it's all actively learning. And then you as a human become irrelevant and you fall into a deep depression and you eventually find out that you've actually been dead for thousands of years and the AI robots have put you inside this pod and are actually been harnessing and feeding off your life force for energy. Yeah, quite literally. When I started to go down that bit, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start describing the Matrix and see if he picks up on it. Yeah, literally that.
But I don't know.
It's time to wake up, Riley. It's time to wake up. Are you awake?
I would love to be. I would love to be. That'd be awesome. Get me out of whatever it is that I'm dealing with now.
Do you think we're in a simulation right now?
Dude, there's a
or a better question, do you think you're in a simulation right now?
That's a very, I don't want to say it's a deep question, but it is because, I'm a faith-based person. So it's like, what if you're actually in the simulation until you accept God into your life and then you come out of that simulation, because then you know what's to come at the end.
You weren't supposed to know that. Who told you?
To be fair, I thought the same thing too. Like back in my younger years when I did other various things, I used to think like, oh, like this is why the government made it illegal, because when you start doing stuff like this, you start seeing things for what they really are. That was kind of my thought process then, because I did see some stuff and, all that. And it was, again, this is pre this life now, but you kind of start, like it opens up your mind in a way that you can perceive other things that people who don't couldn't. And so I used to think that, kind of going into that aspect, but, it was, but now looking at it now, it could quite potentially be the opposite. Like you're doing those things to keep you from reaching your full potential. And you're kind of just stuck in that, what could be posed as a simulation. Like you're just kind of stuck where you're at. You can't progress anything until you fully open your mind. And like Morty says in Rick and Morty, open your mind.
Exactly.
and then you kind of just, you start seeing things for what they are. But that's the thing though, is like you have to keep yourself in that mindset of understanding and knowing, because I mean your mind is where the majority of the battle is. And if you can't beat that, then you can't really beat anything else. You can't get to where you want to be at in life. And that is the hard part, and I'm preaching to the, choir of myself right now, but that's essentially what it is. So,
yeah.
So yeah.
Totally off topic, but I saw this video on social media, actually this morning, thought it was absolutely hilarious. I wanted to share with you because I know you're up in Denton right now. I follow this account on X called Dudes Posting Their W's, like their wins. And it says 24 years ago, these guys held a garage sale in Denton, Texas, where prices were determined by a mysterious figure called the Price Master. So this is from 2001, somewhere in Denton. Don't ask me where. I don't know any context outside of what you just saw me read.
Looks like on the older, like the near the university side.
It might be. For those of you listening, hard. You have this guy who is made of snake hard. He's dressed up in this like metallic jumpsuit. He's wearing a mask, so you don't know who he actually is. And he's having these unsuspecting garage sale people come up, and he's having them offer to buy things, and he's basically shouting into a unbalanced microphone. And so the price of one of the things someone wanted to buy, he goes $17,000. So this guy wants to buy a bronze crucifix. And he's like, you can buy it for $500. I recommend if you're only listening to the audio, come find the video version of this. I don't know how to describe it outside of what I just did.
They're hilarious.
He's saying he'll come buy it for $150,000.
Y'all not selling any of this stuff, right? Oh, you. This stuff is not for sale. This is a joke. Not the prices you're wanting.
I don't know who this guy is or like the context here, but this is kind of a genius idea for a garage sale. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if he sold any of his stuff.
I don't think so. Part of me thinks it was just a, for those of you who are outside of Texas or maybe not aware of the great town of Denton, it's very historically counterculture. It was very, a lot of artists. It's like an artist haven. So it wouldn't surprise me if this guy was doing a little bit of a performance art just to get a chuckle out of it,
Right.
Yeah, 24 years ago today. I don't know. Yeah. You got anything else you want to talk about?
I had other topics, but they could technically wait till next week also, because the news for both of them kind of is already like a week or two old, so we don't always have to do current news, but as long as it's still within that same month, we're good. So we can always talk. I can always bring it up at the beginning next week before we go into whatever topic we're going to go into. I did, however, completely, because we didn't do this right off the beginning, so hold on.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find
it. Is it the question of the week?
Yeah.
Nice. I totally forgot to bring that up. That's on me.
So
I get negative points this week.
I have one somewhere as soon as I
which has been fun because these questions of the week they pick up on TikTok. I've noticed that.
I have noticed that. Speaking of, we got some comments we need to go through too, which we'll do after this, because some of y'all came in clutch on a couple, like on one of our most recent ones. Some of y'all came in clutch with some questions, man, and we've been getting a lot of likes from y'all. So please, if you, when I ask this question, some of y'all are, probably going to see it on TikTok, and we just encourage you to check it out on TikTok itself, or on Rumble as well. So I had one, but I'm trying to I may just actually ask this one right here. If you had to describe colors without no, I don't like that one, because that's an easy one to actually ask. Hold on, I got this. If you could find out how and when you die, would you want to know?
No, absolutely not. Because then I don't want to say dread the day coming, but I would prefer to keep it as a surprise. And I think there's other examples of how I could describe this, because there's been, I think, like TV shows and movies that play on this concept of when like the moment, or how or when,
Mm-hmm.
when you know those elements, you live your life a different way. And so I'd prefer to not know and keep it as much of a surprise as possible. What about you, though?
Part of me wants to say no, because I'm similar in that aspect, but at the same time, it's like, what if it's something that's preventable? I'm not saying Final Destination levels, because at the end, they always end up getting got anyways. But like, if it's something that's preventable,
yeah. And I guess also, if you happen to know like when, I guess you could live your life more freely in a fun way, knowing that if you know when the clock stops,
right,
you're not worried about the credit card bill.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, right.
Like, you just rack it up. And
well, like my thinking too is like, let's just say if I knew I was gonna die on like an airplane, like like something failed and I knew I was gonna die. Guess what?
terrifying.
I just never have to fly again. I'll just drive. Like if like I don't have to go out of the country, I'll just drive everywhere I want to go. Like I don't care. Or if I knew I was going to die on a boat, well, it looks like I'm never going near the water ever again. Like, things like that. Like now, if there's some things that you can't control, like, okay, like I'm going to die by a heart attack at the age of 82. Okay. Well, some things you can't control in that aspect, so it's like, you just kind of have to just roll with those punches. But, on that note, to go back. So our question of the week last week is, if would you tell anyone that you're immortal? Like if you knew that you were immortal, would you tell anyone? And some of the comments on here, let's just see here. WNC Boots said, "Take over the world. I don't know how, but immortality seems like something you can get a group of people to believe you were some sort of god. I'm just saying." Lol. Definitely, you could start a cult in that regard if you convince a number of people. And then Jungle Josh said, "Check out Man from Earth, a great movie about a man who's immortal trying to convince a group of people that he is essentially a caveman." I think I've heard of that movie, but I haven't watched it. I don't know if it's on any streaming service, so I'll have to check it out. But
2007.
Definitely, yeah. Someone actually commented the same thing. J-Dub, 2007 fantasy sci-fi drama, The Man from Earth. Watch it. So definitely some good comments. We love the comments that you guys are leaving. If you do get the chance to check out the question that we just posed then, please, check out our Rumble channel, check out all that. Definitely, you want to watch the full episode, you want to get the full aspect of it, but we appreciate the support. Only shortly after just launching on TikTok for the shorts. We've already gotten a lot of likes, built up some followers, so we appreciate it and keep it up.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just like Riley said, definitely appreciate it. It's really cool to see that channel take off a little bit more than the other ones historically have. TikTok's it's just a unique animal. I don't know what else more to say about it other than that. So I guess maybe just to send us off, Riley, you got any wise words of wisdom?
Wise words of wisdom. What do you think Gavin Newsom's true purpose is for his podcast? Is it for him to actually kind of relieve that stress, or is he not who he says he really is? Do y'all enjoy knowing? I guess like I don't even want to say do y'all enjoy, but as far as how Texas seems to becoming the next like powerhouse of the country, because that's essentially what it is. I know people give Texas a bad rap, but you can't knock for what we have here, and you can't knock us for gaining additional stuff. And
they just hate us because they ain't us.
Yep, facts. And then this weather, though, can Texas continue to survive with all this weather, though? That's the question. So, not really. I mean, I guess it is wisdom-based questions. Like, what do y'all think? Again, we love to hear y'all's comments down below, and we'll see y'all on the next one.